Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Scorpio August 2024 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel, St. James Clairvoyant. Well, you know, we have quite an interesting deck for you this month, and it's based around creatures known as the Fae, spelt F-E-Y in English. A lot of people call them fairies. Children have a particular affinity with them, but then children seem to have an awareness that extends beyond the things that we're aware of when we're adults. Don't you find that? Certainly the Fae were part of ancient Persian spiritual belief, going back hundreds of years BC. They certainly formed part of early Christianity as well, you might be interested to know. And in some respects, you could say that they are associated with the Vedic tradition of the subcontinent, Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, where the Devas are known, and they are beings of light, because the Fae was said always to manifest as sort of wisps of flame or wisps of light. Now, you know that this month I've done a lot of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for people from different parts of the world over FaceTime and Skype. Now, clairvoyance is a spiritual gift that was provided to me at birth. It shows up in about 1 in 10 million people, from what I can work out over decades of being in the area and traveling around the world. And if you're interested in that, then the details are in the description. Now, I charge for clairvoyant readings, but what I do not charge for is another gift that I was blessed with at birth, and that is the spiritual gift of healing. Why me? I have no idea. There's nothing special about me, I can assure you. The healing comes through me and not from me, and I provide it for free. I have to do that and get nothing in return, so there is no obligation. Nothing will be sold or recommended to you. You won't be talked into having a reading. You won't be talked into doing anything. It is literally no strings attached. And so if you are at your wit's end with something, or have an emotional problem or some physical issue or something like that, and just feel that there is a hole in your soul that needs to be closed, or a candle in your heart that needs to be lit, and you'll know if this speaks to you, then if it does, I really do encourage you to get hold of me. I set time aside each day to perform healings. We're going to take 5 cards because that's all we need, so show me the magic. The Elder of Air. Lots of little crows or ravens there. There's the 7 of Earth. This is the 8 of Earth. How very interesting. This is the Queen of Fire. Hello, Queen of Fire. I was quite partial to the Queen of Fire, in a way. And here we have, wow, this Major Arcana of the World. Well, I'll bring the camera around, shall I? So you and I can have a good close look at the colour and the art on these paintings together, while the cosmic energies swirl and speak to us both, and I'll do the reading for you.
Fascinating, fascinating. This is interesting. Ordinarily, I would expect some difficulty with this card here, 7 of Earth. However, I noticed that on this same line, the Elder of Air, Air and Earth are enemies, and they weaken each other. And this is a court card, so it overcomes the negative aspects that one might otherwise see in this, from my reading of it. This is looking at the elemental dignity rules that they call in tarot, and I think it actually turns out to be quite a good card for you, as are all of these others here. Let me talk first, and I am actually even robustly encouraged by my interpretation of that by this card, which is sitting underneath it, the World. Now, here we have one of these creatures, and this looks like a sort of a party scene, doesn't it? Where the lanterns are set off from thereabout. Well, I do get the planet of Saturn around here. Saturn in the sense of time is what I'm getting, not in any problematic sense. Because this is speaking of completion for you, a liberation from difficulty, a liberation from worry and fearful expectations, maybe even travel is what's going on here. This is closing the circle that began with the Fool. The great task has been brought to completion, and it returns to the innocence and naivety, I suppose, of the Fool. The drop disappears into the ocean, and the ocean pours into the drop. Now, this completion for you is, at the same time, a new beginning on a higher level of being. There is almost spiritually a return to the original cosmic oneness that's here. You will be completing or have just completed a project. Certainly your efforts are finally paying off. I think it's been something of a long, hard haul, but you're almost there. And this is definitely a reminder for you to finish what you have started. And I do see here that you now are learning to take control of your own destiny. You're using the power of your will to get results. And this is taking you to greater levels of self-confidence and self-esteem. Yes, actually, I think you'll be very gifted at tying things off and starting new things at the same time. Yeah. I think you're also going to be able to bring change into institutions or structures, strongly structured environments. You'll be able to bring about some change here. You might find that you are quite ecologically minded, incidentally. But certainly there's a desire now for you to experience as much of the world and its people as is possible. Something is ending now and beginning at the same time. Could well be a desire for you to travel here, maybe to take up an area of study, or to experiment with something in the bedroom. It's now possible for you to see things as they really are, you see. And the stage is set for a new beginning or for a favourable completion. And the events going on in your life are finally, you might say, in harmony with the universe. Now, from what aspects of your life is it time to free yourself? Is there a journey or some project waiting for you to set it in motion? This is definitely a time when you want to trust your perceptions. And a good tip would be to make a list of all unfinished situations that tying off of them would bring you a sense of relief. Say to yourself, I love to travel. I love to explore the unknown. I am excited about bringing ideas and creative projects into form. I deeply value making a contribution that makes the people and area around me a better place to live. I really am at one with the universe. Now I'm getting a lot of Gemini and a lot of Taurus around somewhere. That's up here. So let's have a look at it. And have a look at this Elder of Air. Wow, this is an interesting painting, wouldn't you agree? Well, here the Elder is sitting on its throne, about to make a decision, I suppose the monarch of the area. But look what it does. Similar to the Norse mythology where Odin had a couple of ravens that went out to act as spies, this creature is using the birds to go out and collect the information that it needs in order to make the right decision. Air, clouds that are going on here. This is fire and air. So very combustible, fire and air. So this could well be a time of combustibility for you. You'll have the energy of the mind in Gemini. with the stability and determination of Taurus. And to be very active, clever, skillful. I think quite brave, very courageous, almost fierce. You might take action though without thinking too much about what it is that you're doing before you do it. But nevertheless, you'll be very goal-oriented, certainly ambitious, and you'll have great powers of persuasion. There is, in a sense here, for me, the idea of you being like this violent power of motion applied. You're like the wind, the storm, but quite subtle. You're going to be fierce, courageous. But you may well find that you get altogether consumed by an idea which comes to you by way of inspiration almost. Just be aware of that. It's not saying it's a bad thing. It could be that you get really into a particular subject here. Now, you will have a strong mental determination, and that's going to be married with a deep emotional understanding. Because I think that only those goals which are emotionally charged are going to really drive the passion within you. But nevertheless, your body, your mind, and your spirit, they're all in harmony, and they are going to be flying alongside you. It's also the case that you're probably already working this out, but I think that you're going to get a clear insight into a problem, and then you'll work quickly to set goals that solve it without letting anything get in the way. Nevertheless, I do have the feeling that this is something of a restless period in general for you, where you are moving, trying to get somewhere else, either in everyday life, maybe travel, or just mentally even. Definitely, this is a time for you to listen to the head rather than to the heart. There's the requirement here for you to use that fine mind of you. Now, there is a restlessness again, as I say here. Perhaps you want to break free from something that you're doing in the workplace. Would that be right? This can often relate to those... You might know of someone, a couple that get together and break up and get together and break up and get together and break up, and ultimately everybody just loses interest in it. And certainly one of them at last says, "Oh, who wants to live like this?" But you are in a good position now to make plans, to set goals, and more importantly, to make them happen. But do you know your goal? What do you want? Can you put it in one sentence specifically? And what happens once you achieve it? And then imagine how you'll best be able to enjoy your success. You say to yourself, I know my goal and I know what I am working towards. Each goal is just a milestone on the way to my ultimate destination. Right, well, let's have a look at that other card that I referred to at the commencement of the reading. And you will see how these other cards, their elements, absolutely smash the negative aspects to it, leaving the good aspects to it. And one can see the good aspects there in the painting itself. I will just mention that in passing, that the astrology is that of Saturn in Taurus. Well, Saturn is a sort of a slow planet, isn't it? Taurus is that plodding, fixed sign of Earth. And if you put them together, then you might feel that there's some sort of a stagnation going on, or a hesitation, or even a fear of falling or getting things underway. But this is actually referring to a slow and steady growth for you. You might be working through a dry spell, that's true, but it's going to be successful. Certainly any dire and fearful expectations that you might have with respect to something ordinarily, which has been defeated by this, you find that there's no reason for it, because here this is symbolizing success and material rewards coming from Earth that's here. And it also, I think, speaks to you moving along your soul purpose as well. That is the aspect of Saturn. Saturn pushes you along your soul purpose, and Saturn can sometimes appear to be difficult. That's because your soul is encased by materiality. And what Saturn does is it says, spend some more time going along your soul path. And what it does is it sort of crystallizes materiality, manifestation around it, such as little shards come in and they can poke into you and feel as if it hurts. Saturn, of course, doesn't tell you why it's there. It just shows up. You've got to work out why it's there after it has been and gone. But this is bringing you to the crossroads, I think, of following the path of material achievement, or to the path of doing that, but doing that in a way which can also serve the greater whole. Because with that presence of Saturn, this is the good aspect of it, you start to look at the spiritual responsibility that you have and your connection to the universe and your personal soul evolution. There is an opportunity now for you to discover new talents and expand them into just new ideas and creations that do benefit people around you, you know. Now, a lot of people have a lot of material possessions, okay, and they desire to achieve more, don't they? Their cup never seems full, and their quest for more material stuff keeps growing. But this desire ultimately is fruitless, because you never see a U-Haul following a hearse to the cemetery, do you? I think that the real lesson here for you is to understand the balance between spiritual and material values and live it in your daily life, at work and at play. And this almost sacred balance, it's going to attract abundance spiritually and materially. This is a card for you now, of spiritual transformation that raises your awareness to the bigger spectrum of creation and manifestation, but also understanding that you don't need to be poor to have spiritual understanding, and that wealth and money help you express your spirituality and help you go out there and provide help to other people. Now, I said here that this is talking about there being long-term results for you, and they do come. Oh, in fact, here they do come. Let's have a look. Now, look at this painting. Isn't this interesting? Now, this creature, it looks like it is totally entangled up in this rose bush. However, if you notice, the creature has adapted her limbs in such a way as to be comfortable within the branches of the tree and to tend to the roses so that over time they have the benefit of bees coming to them, and over time that there is growth. Well, this is the sun ruling the first decan of Virgo, which is about the 23rd of August to the 2nd of September. Also seeing here the number 8. Let me just see it there. It's number 8. I have a mystical association with the number 8, with decision, with balance, but also with the planet of Mercury. Now, here we have the sun in Mercury. Well, the sun in Virgo rather, well, Mercury in that number 8 is the ruler of Virgo, and Mercury is also exalted in Virgo, which is really, really good. Very favourable. And here, the sun is energizing Virgo's hard work and attention to detail. And as a result of that, you cannot help but have success. Now, sometimes it may strike you as odd, but sometimes there is a success to come about just by leaving things alone, just by giving them minor attention. For example, plant the seed, make sure it gets watered, fertilizers on it or what have you, and then over time it grows, doesn't it? And this is a period of the flowering of your internal and external richness. There's a wisdom with you now. There's also a carefulness. There's also a discrimination. You're being cautious about what you choose. You'll be taking calculated risks, I think, and possibly quite careful with money. You might actually be involved in upskilling yourself. This is about not overextending yourself or underextending yourself. Rather, it's about being in the right sweet spot. You see, this rose bush that we see down there, it unfolds its wealth of blooms. It's time of flowering that relates to internal and external richness on all 4 levels of being. Long hidden abilities and possibilities within you are now becoming visible. Now, this 8 also stands for harmony, adjustment, balance. And as you unfold equally on all the 4 levels of being, a deep sense of psychic balance develops. And this in turn will affect your dealings with people and situations on the material plane. Now, this is a time, I think, when you want to avoid excess, because this internal flowering is a delicate process which occurs in stillness. It is a blessed gift for you, one to handle lovingly and with great care. And all of these plants, these flowers here, they're shielded, they're protected. And remember that the tree is just beginning to bloom. It's not time yet for harvesting or for giving out the newly developing wealth that is coming your way. Now, in order to maintain your internal balance, special attention's got to be paid on the external level to thinking clearly, which you do here, to order and beauty, which you do see here. So I think there's some patience needed to develop something. Don't rush it, as it's a long-term thing, and be prepared to bide your time and let it come into fruition. And this is an encouragement also to keep doing what you're doing, because it is going to lead to success. Yes, of course it requires dedication. Of course it requires focus and patience. But as each day passes, you get closer. Now, it may not be apparent to you, but like these bees, events are unfolding that are going to lead you to your destination. So, that which is coming into flower in you is of exquisite beauty and delicacy. So provide for it the protection and nourishment that it needs. You don't have to force anything now. Everything is unfolding at the proper time. But are you giving yourself the protection and nourishment you now need for your development? This is certainly a time when you can quite properly say, abundance is my natural condition, so I can relax and enjoy life. And that takes us finally, I think, to, doesn't it? Yeah, here we go. Queen of Fire. Hello, Queen. Well, certainly looking like a figure of authority, isn't she, standing there with her wings open? She's very open to it. Do you know, it wouldn't surprise me if Aries and Pisces aren't important to you at this time, because Pisces is going to give you a sensitivity and an inspiration, and Aries is going to give you leadership and self-confidence. I think that you are going to be very adaptable. You're going to be able to alter your course as needed. You'll have a persistent energy, very calm authority. Now, I've got to say this, like her, you're actually going to be someone who has great powers of attraction. In fact, people are going to find you very sexually attractive. Well, I'm sure you've had to deal with that before, you poor thing, so I'm sure you can deal with it again. Now, I do think that you could be quite generous with people. However, I don't think you're going to appreciate idiots at all at this time, and you're not going to suffer fools at all. You will have a great capacity for friendship and love, but you are going to establish a filter through which people have to pass in order to become friends, or to become a suitor or a romantic interest. So much so that some people might think that there is a vanity about you, even a snobbery about you. Do be aware, though, that there is a situation that I'm getting here. I'm just picking up that there could be times when you can get into a mental funk. That is, you start creating in your mind wrongs that you imagine people have done against you or are planning to do against you. And you could turn to the booze to deal with this, and you might react with some savagery. And you could actually get on the phone or on the social media and give these people a piece of your mind without good cause. So if you do have something that you want to say to somebody, wait until the next day. Wait until the effects of the mental enhancement products have gone out of your system. But this definitely says to me that you are going through the process of self-discovery and remembering your power. Now, you've got to where you are today by resolving difficulties in the past, haven't you? And you've adapted. You're a stronger character. You have strength. You have a spine of steel. But this is a time for you to express what people are going to see as your natural power and beauty, and just move on from the past. Because I think this is the point now where you're going to forget about the past, because now you're working out what it is that you do want, and the future is going to be more important to you than the past. You'll have a very active life and create a very powerful first impression. Now, I do think that you have worked on yourself and made progress, and it's time to learn how to share this with other people. Let your self-realizations come across in your daily life. Say this to yourself, because it's definitely true for you now. I am a radiant being filled with light and power. And that sure sums you up. You did a great job.
It seems that whenever I do a reading for you like this, that I always get so much out of it myself. So I hope that you certainly did. I find out more about myself, and inexplicably, somehow or other, it seems to me that I find out more about what is going on in the broader realm, in the cosmic realm. I enjoyed doing that, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did giving it to you. Now, unless I see you privately for a clairvoyant reading or for a healing, then I'll see you again here next month. And until then, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.